Good morning, guys. Frederick here. How's everybody doing? Where can we find existing businesses to buy? Where do they exist? Where are the platforms where we can easily check and find them? That question keeps coming up over and over and over again because people do not just know where to find them. Some people even think they don't even exist anywhere. So that's what we want to talk about today. We're going to talk about where to find existing businesses to buy, what platforms we can check, and the alternative places where you can find them, and so on, okay? But before we get into that, good morning, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. For my OG subscribers, you know I love you. Love you all. For new subscribers, welcome, welcome, welcome. Join our community, our family. We all love one another here because love is the name of the game. And my name is Frederick. I live here in the GTA, the west side of the GTA, here in Ontario, Canada. I'm a business owner, entrepreneur. I do business here in Canada and in the US, in the US. And I just share my experience here when it comes to business, investing. We share the good, the bad, and the ugly, the mistakes, the wins, successes, everything. We share it in simple terms just by having a conversation. Okay, having said that, having gotten that out of the way, let's jump in right into it. So, I've bought two businesses here in Canada, and the first thing I would like to say is, if you're talking to the right people who understand how to do stuff like this, you definitely know immediately where to find stuff like this. Now, aside from that, I'm going to say one of the easiest ways to find existing businesses for sale is the internet. So there are online platforms where they actually advertise businesses like this. Like the ones you're looking for sale. Biz buy sell, the common ones, biz buy sell, and so many of them. I can't remember all of them now, but there are a lot of them. If you just go to Google, for instance, just do existing businesses for sale in Canada, you're going to see quite a number of options to look at. The only warning that I would want to indicate here is that, as with everything that has to do with the online platform, you just have to be careful, because just the same way there are legitimate platforms for stuff like this, there are also scammers and fraudsters also trying to scam people by presenting websites that might look real but are indeed fake. So be careful if you're going the online route. Be very careful, because do your verifications, check properly, make phone calls to be sure you're dealing with the right people, to be sure that the website is legit, so you don't get scammed or you don't get defrauded. The second option is lawyers and accountants. Lawyers and accountants are two professionals that, if somebody who's trying to sell his or her business considers doing that, one of the first set of people he or she is going to talk to is the lawyer or the accountant. And the reason is because these two professionals, by the position they occupy, have a lot of say even in the process of selling the business. They're going to help, they keep their books, they help them make sure that legal stuff is done properly. They file their returns or taxes for them. They help them with the incorporation of the entity when it comes to filing annual returns. Lawyers most likely are the ones that do all that. So these are two professionals that would typically come up if any business owner decides to sell their business, because they have a role to play. Even for the buyer, when you're buying a business, these two professionals also have a role to play, especially when it comes to due diligence, because they're going to help you check and verify some of the information that the seller is going to give you. So lawyers and accountants come up, our go-to place when a seller decides to sell his or her business. So if you have a lawyer friend or an accountant friend, from time to time you can ask, did any of your clients whom you've been servicing for years, anybody say anything like they're thinking about selling their business, or they're considering it? So talk to your lawyers and accountants. They just might have information upfront information if anybody's trying to sell a business. So you get that firsthand, right? The third option is business brokers. Business brokers are people who are synonymous to real estate agents. So real estate agents, as you know, are people that we contact if we're trying to buy a house or property, or we're trying to rent a property somewhere, because they have this platform where they get first-hand information about stuff like that, right? Typically, sellers, business owners who are trying to sell their business would also most likely contact the business broker if you're considering selling their business. They're one of the first set of people sellers would usually contact. So a business broker is a good option. I work with a lot of business brokers. I bought my 2 businesses through a business broker, and I've established good and consistent relationships with business brokers of several business brokers here in Canada and in the US as well. So I have leads to good brokers who can help you also source and find good businesses for sale. Business brokers do a little more than lawyers and accountants, because they do not just onboard the business for sale. They also do some kind of deep dive into the business and usually help the sellers package the business in preparation for sale. So they help them to look, for some of these businesses, they probably run it like a mom and pop kind of business where they do the accounting themselves, the bookkeeping themselves. They probably have a ledger where they're recording all their income and expenditure, and just do it in a very traditional way, very, very traditional way. So business brokers, when these such sellers come to business brokers help them to package their books, not in a bad way, in a good way, like help them put their accounting in place, help them, look at their records, help them determine what their sellers' discretionary earnings are, otherwise known as the SDE. And for those of you who do not know, an SDE is the amount of monies that a seller takes either as salary or the amount of monies that the seller uses to benefit himself. So I'll give you an example. If a seller is living in a rented apartment, the business could be paying for that rent, could be paying for that apartment. So the money doesn't go to the seller directly, but the business funds that cost. So it also forms part of the seller's SDE because the seller is benefiting from the business, even though he's not getting cash directly, right? So the business brokers also help the seller to determine what his or her SDE is, which plays a huge role in fixing the valuation of the business, right? For the purpose of sale. The business brokers also help sellers to value their business using traditional methods, which also include things like the SDE and so on, and help them to ascertain a value for their business. Now, it also helps to keep sellers at bay in terms of not overvaluing their businesses and therefore placing the business at a value where it is overpriced and therefore nobody most likely would be interested in it. So business brokers, yes, that's what they do. Like I said, they're very similar to real estate agents when it comes to properties, and they help sellers to package and present their businesses for sale. The next example of people who can give you information on where to find businesses are other business owners like me, for example, right? So when people come to me, because I'm already a business owner who acquired existing businesses here, I can also give you information about where to source and where to find businesses like this. Business owners also give you crucial tips, very, very crucial tips, especially from their own experience when they were buying theirs, so that you don't have to make the mistake they probably made. I'm not going to sit here and lie that I never made any mistakes, even in the process of buying my own business. I made a couple mistakes, and that's where the value, therein lies the value, because when you talk to other business owners like me, because I've made those mistakes, it is highly unlikely that I would allow you to make those similar mistakes, right? Because I've been through it. I've done it. I've been there. I've done that. And I know what those mistakes are. So other business owners like me would definitely help you to avoid those mistakes and guide you to make sure that everything you do is done properly. All the things you check out, all the things you look out for, especially in your due diligence phase, we cover the field there. You know, a lot of the things could be left out if you're not properly trained to identify the things to be looking out for, especially in the due diligence phase. And I say due diligence because this is one of the most crucial aspects of buying an existing business, because that is where you verify and you confirm every information, all the information that the seller has given you. Like I said, sellers want to get the best value for their business when they're selling it, but sometimes some of them can overprice it because they're trying to get the best buck for their business, right? And during due diligence, that's when you verify everything. You check everything. You check the books legally, financial, litigation, operations, staff and employees, and so on. So you definitely get a lot of value from talking to other business owners who have been there, who've done it, and are living it pretty much, right? So these are some of the examples of how you can find businesses for sale, existing businesses for sale. I guarantee you that if you adopt any one of these methods, you definitely start to see a lot of businesses for sale. And then you can make your decision in terms of how you want to go about it, and so on. Thank you very much for listening to me today. I hope you benefited, got value from this video. If you ever need any help in terms of how to start looking for your business to buy, an existing business to buy, I am here for you. I help people to look for, find, review, and acquire existing businesses. If you also need any help with regard to real estate investing in the US, I also have the plug for that. Do not hesitate to contact me. And take care of yourself. I love you all as usual. Remain blessed. God bless you. And I'll see you again next time. Peace. Bye.